Hello, lovelies, and welcome to another edition of Hold My Coffee 2021. Today is the 19th, and we are launching a Huntsman's Horror, which is the fourth book in the Huntsman of Adamos series. And this is just going to be quick. This is the blurb for the last book. The Huntsman Lord Yurieth of Adamos realized the error of his hatred almost too late. Broken-hearted, his sealed one has purposely let herself be captured by the Umbracruor Mages of Xelusia. Transformed into a dark oracle, Lady Fleur works to deceive the kings of two worlds into war. She has accepted her fate and chosen to die in a deadly gambit to control the start of the Cataclysm War, so his father has the time to flee in the tear of heaven's hope. Her life in exchange for the remnant's escape and the future victory over shadows. The Cataclysm War will happen because she will make it happen. However, Yurieth has vowed not to let her sacrifice herself. Not alone in his desire to save Fleur, Yurieth's mother Yelena and his nephew Karsten, the future king of Etheria, are determined to stop her. But will she let them? Or will she succumb to the madness that affects all who are indwelled by the Cruelina entity and become a true dark oracle? Let's find a random place. And I usually pick a place to read, but I haven't this time. I'm looking for a place. The next day, at midday meal, Fleur was sitting alone, eating. Lucix ordered her not to be allowed to leave her room again after she killed 3 more of Lubidra's supporters on her morning walk to memorize the layout of the Towers of Xelusia. No one seemed at all surprised by her behavior or moved to intervene when Fleur, as the Dark Oracle, demanded loyalty from those who dwelled in the Towers of Xelusia. Those who were loyal to Prince Lucix quickly shifted their alliance to Fleur, and after a few well-played public displays of power and cruelty, a few of Princess Lubidra's followers shifted as well, or so they claimed. As Fleur sliced an apple, she could feel Lucix approaching. She frowned for a moment and adjusted her gown to be more provocative, then wrapped the dark magic around her and set her face in a malevolent smirk. Looking beyond his darkness after he entered, she could see his reflection in the dark glass mirrors through his own eyes and herself. Ezra was right. I really do look like a cheetah, she thought offhandedly, and pushed her own horror away. Lucix was not what she expected. Very tall as Yuri, but much leaner muscled, like a runner. His straight copper-colored hair hung to his waist, with eyes colored to match, and pale alabaster skin that made him strikingly handsome. But his features were too raptor-like to be handsome by her taste. He looked so different from the men of Etheria. She suddenly understood why Lubidra chased Yuri for 2 centuries, and why Zarini fell in love with Abriath. She knew from studying this time that Xelusians hired Etherian foresters and miners for heavy work, and wondered if all Xelusian men were less muscled. Certainly the ones she had seen and killed seemed leaner. She did not rise to greet him or move except to slice her apple before she held out her hand, palm up, in the usual Xelusian greeting of royalty. She waited expectantly as he looked her over like a canine starving for meat. Her long black hair hung loose around her shoulders. Her legs were exposed to her thighs, showing they were shapely muscled and covered in the scrolling tattoo-like vines and smoky crescent scars. Her velvet dressing gown, with kimono-style sleeves and 8-ribbon ties, had only four of which held bows, leaving it hanging open to her waist and barely covering her breast for him to leer at. She withdrew her hand with a derisive snort. "You would keep your queen a prisoner, my prince?" Slicing a thin sliver of cheese, she nibbled it from the blade before picking up the apple again. She waited for him to decide what to do. Fleur knew Lusix had come to confront her, but he did not realize the razor's edge she was treading, or how far she was willing to go to convince him she truly was the Dark Oracle. This morning on her walk to memorize the insides of the towers, she had murdered 3 more of Lubidra's followers, and he was angry about it. She repeated her question. "Why have you confined me to my rooms?" Lusic walked slowly around the Dark Oracle. "I can't have you killing my people without cause," he stated, and she laughed malevolently. "They insulted me with their lack of faith. They don't know you, and neither do I." "Then perhaps you should introduce me. Take me to dine with them instead of letting them stare at me from behind the glass like some insect. I am the Dark Oracle of Prophecy, and I will not be disrespected by those who barely hold a tenth of my power." She rose up and stalked toward him, snapping vehemently. "And that includes your daughter. We did not find her worthy before, and we do not find her worthy now." "We?" Lusic stared at her cautiously. "I carry the Queen of Shadows, so yes, we do not find her worthy. If you doubt my sanity, Lusix, I can end you like the others. But then I would have to find another body for my lord to share before the celestial alignment," she threatened bluntly. "You wouldn't dare." She smirked at him. "You have no idea what I would dare." Then she waved at him dismissively. "I want to have dinner with my subjects. Arrange it. I expect a blood pledge of loyalty from all who wish to live." Lusix stared down at her. Her rage felt like waves buffeting him, and but she was not using the siren's magic that he could discern to persuade him. "It truly angers you that there are those who doubt you. Didn't it anger you when your father chose your brother over you?" she taunted. "I got my revenge," he stated flatly. She tipped her head to one side and blinked at him very slowly, before saying coolly, "No, you did not. Or you were, or you would be sealed. No, you did not. You, or you would be sealed to the Lord of Shadows. The Huntsman of Adamos proved himself worthy by killing your father, and took your revenge from beneath your blade that day. Then he freed those held in the temple and gained the allegiance of half our people." "So you were my mother's prisoner?" he inquired as he traced her scars with his fingertip. They felt colder than the skin around him. just like his mother's tattooed marks and his own made by the essence of darkness. A soft sigh parted her lips as she revealed the truth from her time in the far future. The Cruelina had already chosen me over Lubidra, an Etherian oracle instead of a Cruatrix leech. She always seeks the most powerful of a generation. She will never be truly bonded to a weakling like Lubidra. You shouldn't have wasted so much time on her. Your youngest, Zarini, does not require blood magic to make her strong, whereas Lubidra must consume blood every day like the parasite she is. By the end, Fleur did not attempt to veil her true contempt for the elder princess of Xelusia. She rose to walk away from him, but he pulled her against his chest. His eyes burned with lust as he demanded, "How do you know so much about us?" Fleur gave him a half smile. "I wouldn't be much of an oracle if I didn't, silly puppet." She did not pull away from him, but stood very still, letting her magic sway him. "Be careful you don't tempt the Lord of Shadows to choose another because you angered me." So that's the reading. That is Fleur facing Prince Lusix, who is basically the king of Xelusia, after Yurieth helped overthrow the former Umbracruor in a huntsman's honor. Lusix wants to bring back the worship of the shadows. He wants to bring back the use of blood magic. He wants to conquer both worlds for himself. So he thinks that Fleur is the way to do it, and he has no idea that she's basically fighting to control the Dark Queen entity called the Cruelina, and she is pretty much willing to do anything because after reading the first book, the last two books, spoiler alert, The Huntsman's Heart and A Huntsman's Hatred, she believes that everything she thought was real in her life, in her future, is a trick of some kind, and she is pretty much willing to die so that her children's future will be secure. She just she overheard some things and gathered all the facts to prove that she was right. And as Karsten says in this book and in the previous book, um, this is what she was made for. She tells Karsten that this is what she was made for, and he does not realize that she knows the truth of what Adamos did, and things get pretty heated between the future king and his war oracle. And she's willing to die. She is willing to die so that her children will live in the peaceful time after the victory in the far future. And she is not willing to go back to the future because she does not want to tell them what she now believes. And that is that her entire life was a lie. And it goes back to her insecurities, which you will learn about in climates of changes, that Fleur, also known as Daisy, she never felt loved. She every time she loved someone, they betrayed her. And now she's back in that place. And because she is so filled with anger and hatred, she is able to pick up the mantle of the Dark Queen and basically fool the royals of Xelusia into believing that she is the next Dark Queen. And they have no idea that she is preparing to bring about the end of everything they know on both worlds. And like the blurb says, the Cataclysm War will happen because she will make it happen. So thank you for watching and listening. Again, Huntsman's Horror is available today in paperback and hard copy. And I hope you enjoy it. Be blessed and have a lovely day.